This channel is proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have dice, miniatures, Game Master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. And make sure that you use my code for a special discount. They currently have a Halloween sale going. This channel is proudly sponsored by Dead Tree Studios, the publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop RPG where you play as monster girls, experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have recently released the Whispers of Copperage adventure module. You will find the links in the description and in the pinned comment. Hi, this is my review of Lake Horror. This is a solo journaling game in the style of Friday the 13th. This is a slasher film, pretty much. You can play this solo or with a group of friends. If you have played the 1000-year-old vampire solo journaling game, you already know more or less how you play this slasher journaling experience. Now, let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is excellent, top notch. You only have a single illustration for the cover, but when it comes to the layout, the graphic design, it fits perfectly with the theme. You have these bloodstains on the pages, the font is appropriate for the slasher horror genre, and it is also quite easy on the eyes, it is very easy to read. So overall the quality is excellent, especially because of the great organization. However, I would have preferred it if they added bookmarks, because although the rules are quite short, the prompts that you are going to be using to unravel your ongoing horror slasher story, it's not that easy to navigate them. It's not difficult, it's not like, oh, I cannot do it, but it would definitely be handy to have the bookmarks on the side. So overall the quality is good. Now let's talk about the contents. Lake Horror is a solo journaling game, or co-op game. There are co-op rules as well. It is set in the late 80s to early 90s. You play as a counselor at an isolated summer camp. When an unidentified killer arrives at the campsite, as bodies start to drop, you use cassette tapes to document your terrifying and desperate struggle for survival. This is not a tactical strategy game where you are thinking about the use of resources and your movements on a map or considering your actions during a particular situation. This feels a bit like a board game in the snakes and ladders sort of style. You're going to be using a d10 and a d6. You roll your 10-sided die and you roll a 6-sided die. You are going to be subtracting what you rolled on the d6 from the d10, and that's the number of prompts that you will move up. But if you obtain a negative number, then that's the number of prompts that you will move downwards. So you're going to be moving up and down the prompts. You don't have a map. It's all about numbered prompts. Each prompt has 3 entries, and these entries are going to affect what happens during the story, because this is a storytelling game. It is a journaling game. There is no roleplay here. You are writing down what happens to your character on a notebook or a word processor. It could be anything. Your character or counselor is determined by various traits. You have cassettes, skills, resources, characters, wounds, and locations. Some of these things you determine during character creation. And there are no values here, there are no numbers. This is just about writing those details. But when it comes to other things such as wounds and some resources, you are going to be obtaining them as you venture on, trying to survive the onslaught of the killer. Funny enough, you don't die from taking wounds. This is in the style of those slasher films where the main character survives the entire thing, perhaps, hopefully, even though that survivor is heavily wounded. The wounds represent the injuries that you obtain along the way, but they are not lethal wounds, unless you reach a certain prompt when you need to spend a resource or you need to use a skill and you no longer have that resource. That skill has already been used, then you could say that those limited resources are going to be the cause of your demise, but you have no control over that. You need to enjoy the story, the creation of this horrifying ordeal that will probably be your doom. But if you are lucky, perhaps you will reach a prompt that results in your survival. So this game is extremely easy to play. You move up and down the prompts, and those prompts have entries, indications of what is going on during the game. You have a limited number of cassettes, and each cassette has a limited number of entries. Therefore, you will have to replace the entries on your limited cassettes, and you will end up with a record of what happened during your ordeal. Perhaps your character dies and someone else finds your cassettes and pieces together what happened to you during your horrifying journey. That would be a fun proposition. Perhaps you play this solo journaling game and you give your story, your recorded cassettes, to someone else to enjoy what happened to you. But you also have co-op or group rules. These are very simple to apply, it's the same thing. But the prompts happen at the same time, that is, each player is handling his or her own prompts, and depending on the result, you match them together. Perhaps if someone finds the killer inside of a cabin, and someone else finds the killer at the same time in the woods, maybe the thing that was encountered in the woods was just an animal or a shadow, and your character ran in a panic inside of the cabin, where they encountered the real killer and the other survivor. And even if you play this game solo, there are also non-player characters. So it's always a group experience, where the characters start to die one by one. It's also quite exciting to figure out the identity of the masked killer. That is part of the fun. So what do I think of Lake Horror? I think this is an excellent horror solo and group journaling game. This is perfect for Halloween, considering the season in which this video is being recorded. My highest recommendation, get Lake Horror. This is all about enjoying that horrifying experience of your counselor, your camp counselor, surviving or getting killed and losing many people along the way. And this is all about fun. Of course, this is not for the faint of heart. There are going to be scenes of gore, death, violence. But if you get a thrill out of that, or if you want to enjoy the horror comedy aspect, because many of those films, Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, although they are quite gruesome and horrifying, there are some dark comedy moments and you recognize some cliches. Although there are pioneer films, of course, that established the genre, many of the other movies, they have those staples, those moments that, oh, I already know that the killer is going to do this and that. And if you play this with your friends, you're going to have fun designing the ways that the prompts mesh together. Someone could say, you know what, that is the perfect moment. If we were to combine these prompts together, perhaps the killer crashes into the cabin and starts cutting and thrusting and slashing. So overall, my highest recommendation, definitely get Lake Horror. Thank you for watching this review. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member and enjoy a variety of exclusive tabletop RPG tips. You can also use the super thanks button. You can also check out the pinned comment below. This has been Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. I am currently unavailable for professional sessions, but I will put my contact information in the description and in the pinned comment for when I am available again. And remember, in tabletop RPGs, it's not about what you want your characters to do, it's about what your characters are doing. Once again, thank you and see you later.